Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Steve here from My Electronic Mechanic, and I'm going to be taking you guys through an installation today of the Dynavin 9 series head unit for the 2013, or I think it's 2010 through 2014 Mustang. Now, the reason I'm putting this video together is because what I've seen, even when I was trying to decide whether or not I was going to buy this head unit, was that a lot of the videos would have an unboxing of the actual Dynavin. Here's the Dynavin, here's how cool it looks, flashy, oh yeah. And then boom, it's installed, and there was no explanation of the wires, no explanation of what each of the wires does or any of that stuff. So what I plan on doing with you guys is an actual install, explaining the wires, explaining what are each one of the wires doing, why are we disconnecting them, which ones are we leaving unconnected, and so on and so forth. Now, there's two caveats or call outs to this system that I did want to talk about. Is number one, I did already install it once and then I removed it. So you're going to see that I'm actually relatively familiar with how to plug it in, how the harness goes, and where certain things go. But I'm going to explain everything along the way. Now, the second thing I want to share with you guys is that my head unit here actually has the heated seats option, and I already did it. When you buy the Dynavin, it comes with two separate buttons, right? One that has the heated seat and then two blanks in case you don't have this option. Mine have already been installed as having the heated seats, so that's something obviously I am gonna I probably won't go over because it's already been installed on my head unit. But you know, when you get it, they're not installed, so you should be able to do that with no problem. There will be a couple of cuts in the video because I do want to make sure that I'm explaining things as clearly and as efficiently as possible for you guys. And so typically my videos don't have cuts because we learn through the process together. But in the interest of making sure I have all the information at my fingertips so you guys can learn, you're going to see a couple cuts, a couple pauses, and things of that nature. But I won't speed through any of the install. So the first thing you have to do is you have to remove your old head unit. In order to get to that, you have to remove the center console. In order to remove the center console, you have to remove your shifter. On at least my car is a manual. It's got the Shaker 500 system, not the Shaker 1000 with the sub. But with the manual, all you really have to do is grip your shifter and spin it off. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to open the center console, the back section. And then what you do is you grip it from the back. Now, there's clips along the sides here that you're going to lift. That's fine. They're going to come up. The one thing to be aware of is you're going to have the plugs here. There's going to be one plug on the other side of this for your traction control hazard trunk switch. And if you have the My Color setup, you're going to have two plugs in the back for the My Color, one gray and one green. You're going to want to unplug those three connectors in order to remove this and put it out of the way. And that's what we're going to do. So grip it from behind and it lifts up. We're going to pull this slightly up. Now I'm going to reach under. You won't be able to go far unless you unplug this one. And then over here, you can turn this to the side and you have the gray and the green here that we're going to go ahead and just unplug. 1, 2, and now our center console cup holder kind of assembly can be moved out of the way. Now the next thing on here that you need to know is typically you'll have two 7mm hex bolts here, hex screws rather. You're going to want to remove those. Now mine have already been removed because I've already messed with this head unit a few times, and knowing I was going to do this video, I did not reinstall them. So once you have those two out, you'll be able to take the head unit out. Now, the head unit's sometimes a little hard to grip based on the clips that are on the side. So you're just going to kind of pull from the bottom and it's going to come out. If you need, get a hook tool and pull it out. Now, you notice mine came out very easy, very easy. Why? Because, I'll show you in a second, but there's one plug back here. This is the plug for your FCIM. You're going to hear me talk about this. There's there's technically 4 components to your radio and your head unit. There is the FCIM, which is your controls, right? FCIM is front communications interface module. So that's this. So you're going to turn it over and unplug it. Now, again, in the interest of explaining this to you, it's very important to understand this plug only has 4 wires. Why? 1 is power, 1 is ground, 1 is your CANbus MS CAN, medium speed CAN high, and your medium speed CAN low. On the stock car, all of your radio and HVAC interactions with the system happen via the CANbus system. Okay? This is interesting, right? Why? Because on my head unit, if I'm pressing buttons like fast forward or go back, or I'm changing the volume, or I'm changing the station, all of that is sent via the CANbus to your ACM. This is your audio control module, ACM. Your steering wheel buttons don't go over CANbus. They actually are wired directly into your ACM, okay? Directly into your ACM, and your ACM reacts accordingly. So that's just an interesting thing to note. FCIM, your head unit controls are via CANbus. Here's your plug. Your radio controls via your steering wheel are done via an analog signal that goes directly into the ACM. Okay, what do we have here? We have our ACM here. We have our FDIM here, which is your screen. And then tucked in the back here is your HVAC module. For those of you who have seen my HVAC module video, that's an explanation of that back here. We are not going to touch the HVAC module. Okay, why? Because just like I told you, your FCIM communicates with your HVAC module via the CANbus, so does the new head unit, the Dynavin head unit. Okay, so if we think and we go back to our 4-component system, we have the FCIM, we have the FDIM, front display module, we have the ACM, and we have the HVAC. That's a 4-component system, and technically if you have sync, the sync system, you're going to have tucked underneath your glove compartment the APIM, the accessory protocol interface module, sorry. But we're not going to touch that for now. That's going to be left as is. So what the Dynavin actually does is the Dynavin takes your FCIM, your ACM, and your display module and merges it all into one. So you end up with the Dynavin head unit and your HVAC module in the back as your only 2 remaining modules. So when you think about it, no longer does your Dynavin head unit need to communicate with this, It's all done in one system. And the only thing it needs to communicate out is to your speakers, your sub potentially, and your HVAC module. Okay, so let's get to taking more of this apart. Once again, I will share with you guys, I've already removed the 4 7mm bolts here because I didn't need them, but they look like these down here. One here. Forgive my car. It's, 15 years old now. So we're going to pull this slightly out. Now, I'm going to warn you guys, the plugs on the back of this are very, very hard to get out. There's, I believe, 4 or 5 plugs on the back of this. Each get progressively smaller. Largest on this side, smallest on this side. They're going to be very difficult for you to pull out. So don't be concerned if you struggle. We're going to go through, and you're probably going to see me struggle with you as I go through this. So we can pull this out to about here. That's it. And we're going to have to reach in the back. Now, when we reach in the back, if I recall correctly, the tab, right? So if this is my plug in the back, the tab is on the top. So when you reach in the back, you have to press the tab down from the top and pull it out away from you towards the engine of the car. So I'm going to start with the one all the way to the left. I can feel it. I've got the tab, but it's very hard to grip and pull. All right, I didn't get the one on the left. I'm going to move on to the next one. Maybe that will give me a little more room. Okay, I got one. I got the second one. Now there's 2 more. One is a coax cable. that's out. The last one on here is a coax cable, but it's got a connector. So you want to be careful when you pull it out. Don't just yank on it. Okay, that one's out. So now I'm down to the last connector, which is the big one. Why did I do that? Because I can actually maneuver this a little bit. And so let me see if I can grab and show you guys what this looks like. All right, so you see here, there's that big connector that's a little tough to get out. So right here, so we're gonna grab it. What? Okay, you fell off the tripod, but that's okay, I'll hold you. So you can see what I was trying to do from the bottom was grip that, press it down and pull it out. But because this is a large plug, you can see it's very hard to pull out. So let me get you guys back on the tripod here. And let's get back to where we were. All right, so now our ACM is disconnected. It's out. I'll turn it around so you guys can see. And we've got one big guy here, medium, small, coax, and then this is another coax port. I believe, well, actually, I don't believe. We'll go through the connectors now, and I'll explain to you what they are. So, this plug right here, this big guy, this is what I would say is your central processing, you know, of all of your audio information from your ACM. What does this have in it? This has the wires that power the actual head unit. So it's got your power, it's got your ground, it's got the antenna from the rear window, a whole lot of different things in here. But most importantly, it's pretty much got all your speakers in here, right? So the speakers that go to the doors, the speakers that go, you know, in the different parts of the car that are generating the sound. It's also got some of your redundant switches. So your sync switches from here also come in through here. So there's a lot of things. Now, I don't have the navigation system, so a lot of these are empty. If you have the navigation system, you're going to see a lot more wires coming in here that ultimately are going over to different parts of the car, like your switches. Because I believe that a lot of the navigation stuff that is handled by the APIM in a non-navigation car is actually contained within the head unit for the navigation enabled vehicles. Okay, so now the second plug here that we're going to go over is this guy, which is the 16-pin plug. Now this 16-pin plug manages a lot of your sync information from your APIM. So if you have sync, it's going to be pulling a lot of your navigation information, your switches from using the sync system. It's also got information related to the line in from the center console, which we'll get into a bit later. That center console line in goes up to your APIM, then comes out of your APIM and goes into the back of your ACM. Okay, and then the final plug here, which is this small guy, which for me, I literally only have one wire coming into it, which is this green one. This has to do, my understanding, is with a the Shaker 1000 system that all of your subs are going to be coming in and out of, right? All of the information related to your subs, 4 pins 1, 2, 3, 4 would be for non-navigation cars, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry, the opposite. 1, 2, 3, 4 is for the cars with navigation, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the cars without navigation. So if we go back over this, think of this as summarized simply as this is all of your audio to your speakers plus the power. This one right here has a lot to do with your sync functions for sync-enabled cars, and this last one here is your subs. Now, the last two things here, these coax cables, this coax cable, I believe, is your regular standard antenna for your car, for your AM/FM radio. And then this over here, this yellow one, I believe, is related to it's either the sync system or the Sirius. I don't recall off the top of my head, but we will find out what that's for later. Now, the last thing we want to take out, obviously, is our FDIM up here. And we're going to take this out. Again, 4 7mm screws all the way around. I don't have mine in. I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to unplug it. And once again, now you see we have this 10-pin connector. 12-pin connector. There's only 4 wires in it. Why? Once again, everything is managed over the CANbus system for the car. So what you're going to find is that some of these wires, we're not going to need them anymore. Okay? When we start doing our installation, we're not going to need to use them. And that will be that. And we'll just tuck them in the back. Now, here is my HVAC module. I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to leave it as is. You know, if you want, you can unplug it. You can take it out. You can see what it's like. But, you know, we are going to leave this otherwise untouched here. And in the car, no issues. Everything fits without it being impacted by any sort of work we do. So I'm going to drop that down there. And let's go get the Dynavin and let's get ourselves ready. All right, so here's the Dynavin head unit. Now, I am going to put this down right near the tripod with you guys, but I'm not going to start messing with that just yet. I want to explain to you guys this crazy harness that you probably look at and think, my God, what am I dealing with? And actually, let me pull that apart because you're going to get 2 harnesses, okay? 2 separate harnesses. There's a couple things going on here, okay? First, the easy thing to understand is these 3 big plugs. Why are these easy to understand? These 3 big plugs are going to be the ones that go directly into your gray plugs you already have here. So that's very straightforward once again. Power and speakers, right? Generally speaking. Over here, we have all of our sync information. Now, we're not going to have a whole lot coming in through the sync and the APIM because the Dynavin actually manages most of that. And then finally, over here, we have this one, which is our subs. Now, again, if you look at this thing is ready to go with all the plugs that are needed if you have the Shaker 1000 system. I don't have it, but I'm going to plug it in anyway, just so it has the continuity of all of the information here, okay? A couple of these other plugs are going to go into the back of your system. A couple of these things you're not going to touch. This is a remote turn-on antenna. I can't use that because my car is a manual and they aren't happy when you do any sort of overrides to make that work. So I'm just going to leave that. But let's start with plugging in some of these initial wires into the center here. So we got 1. You can't mess these up. We got 2. And finally, we've got number 3. Okay, so now all of that part of the harness is all set up, and we're going to leave that kind of down there. Now, here are my 2 sub lines, I believe, out. Oh, these are the sub lines that are going to go back into the back of the head unit. Now, this over here is if you have amplifiers. This is going to, from my understanding, I believe, we plug this into here and it's going to allow us to plug in. Oh, yes. So this has to do with whether or not you have the shaker system or the base system, right? So we would plug this in and this is going to allow us to get output from to our subs, right? In the Shaker 500 system from the back of the unit. Okay. So I believe standard speaker signal, shaker signal for the subs coming out. Okay, and I believe that these are these black ones, as I mentioned before, these are actually for the Shaker 1000 system that would have gone out through this final plug. I believe, right? I could be wrong here, but at least you guys are getting to see the back of this and how this ultimately works. Okay, so we've got this plugged in, this mini adapter one. So now let's pull the head unit off. Let's get it exposed and talk about the different components to it. Okay, one of the call-outs that you need to do before you start any of this is, you'll notice this does not have any of the connectors on the back for actually plugging in the unit. Now, some of mine are on here because I did this already, but it's not going to have any. You want to make sure you transplant them from your original FCIM. So you'll see here's one, and these are not always easy to get off, especially if you put them in the middle here. So you're going to have to get a little creative getting them off without breaking them, because they don't, I don't understand why, because I can't imagine that these are very expensive. Dynavin would not include them, but they don't. So just be careful when you're taking them off. I find it easiest to just, you know, go in from both sides with your trusty fingernails and just pry out while also pulling, and you should get them off, okay? So I only had to take 2 off because, again, I had previously done it. I'm going to put them on here. They're supposed to click in. So, you know, push them in until you feel them click. Okay, so mine are on here now. And let's talk about the back of this. So, again, I have a couple things already plugged in here, but we'll go through them. This right here is, I believe, your Bluetooth antenna. They have a magnet in it. You can just put it right on the back of the unit here. Just tilt you up just a bit. And down here is where all of our plugs lie. So you're going to plug this in here. Down here, some of these are pretty straightforward. Now this plug, I have no clue what this is for. I don't think it does anything for me in my particular car. I think it has to do with if you buy some special adapter for Sirius. Maybe this is what goes into that. But I don't use Sirius XM, and most people who probably use this may not do that. But this is where that plug will go. And then let's get into the last couple things here. So over here, this plug you're going to plug in here with the color. This is going to be for your AM/FM antenna. So we're just going to plug that in. This over here goes to this long one is your speaker. So when you're going to talk or get a phone call, you want to plug your speaker in there. Over here, we have a whole bunch of things that are for camera, for reverse, all these different lines you can tap. I didn't find the need to tap any of them because my car came, not that it came with it, but I already wired it up for an aftermarket camera. I wired it up for most of the extra functions and stuff. So, you know, something to keep in mind as you're working through this. So we'll put that to the side. We'll leave the speaker off to the side, and I am going to try to plug a lot of this in while you're looking. Now, our FCIM plug and our plug that was up here, this is for our FDIM. You do not need them. Tuck them in the back. Don't worry about them. You're not going to use them. Why? Because your display and your controls are all housed within this unit. So you don't need those 2 plugs anymore. So just tuck them off to the side and just don't worry about them ever again. Okay, there's 2 wires you're going to need to route through the car. Okay, the first one is one of these USB plugs. Now, I use the USB plug that is labeled phone. You're going to want to route it. You're going to go under here. You're going to go through all the way back here. And then you're going to go into your center console. Why? This is going to allow you to have a USB extension, right? Because this one is an extension. Let me see if I could pull you over here. Okay, that's the other end of it. And if we look in here, you can see I popped out this little rectangle for now, and I have it just laying in there. So that's the first one. Okay, the next one that you're going to want to route through here is this one. It's the second USB, and it's labeled MTS-3V1. Okay, once again, oh no, sorry, that one doesn't go that way. That one goes over there. Which is the other one? Is there another one? Yes. Okay, the second one you want to route through here is this guy that has your audio in, your right audio in, and your left audio in. Again, same story. Route it through here, bring it to the back. Where does this go? I'm going to take you off the tripod and bring you under here. Now, it's a little nasty down here, but this is going to plug in over here, okay? There is a plug right there where you see the white and the red. I unplugged this particular plug, okay? That came out and it was replaced with this. What is this for? This is for the line in jack that allows you to bypass. What we're doing is, now normally that plug that was in there, this line in, it goes into your APIM under there. Your APIM translates the signal and then sends it down to your ACM. We are bypassing that by taking one and going straight from under here and coming over here in the form of this this one not USB, this red and blue, red and white, and we're going to plug it directly into the back here so that you can have a direct line into the back of the Dynavin. Now, the last wire we need to put in is this one, which I mentioned before, which is MTS-3. Okay, what is that MTS-3? That is, I believe, the USB here. So that USB line goes back to the back of the APIM, gets translated again, and goes back here. We're going to bypass that. And we are actually going to go and take the other end of this USB plug, unplug it in there, and plug it into this. Okay? So let me show you guys how to do that. All right, so we're going to open the glove box. Now, I'm going to set you down for just a second. This might not be easy for me because I need two hands. You need to depress both sides, and then you're just going to push it down. Okay, of course, all of my stuff is in the way here, so let me pull that out. Okay, so now that we have this out, let me also pull out the ACM, so this thing goes way down. Now, bear with me. This right here, this box, this is your APIM. This one. This is your APIM right here. And the plugs are on the back. Okay? So there's a plug on the back here that you're going to pull out. There's two of them. Okay? And here's the opposite end. That's the opposite end of that MTS plug. So I routed around the back. You know, it's actually really easy. You're going to reach up and you're going to pull that plug out. And there it is. It's basically a micro USB, a glorified micro USB. So what you're just going to do is you're going to plug that into here. And we're going to see if I can manage this with one hand. Just like that. So now your wire in the center console, your USB that goes from there, it goes all the way. Now we're skipping the APIM and we're going straight into the back of the unit, okay? So that's that. So now I'm going to just put, you guys are down, but I'm just putting the glove box back, okay? So glove box is back. Now we're going to come back over here. Let me close this door. All right, so now we're back in the car. I'm going to get you guys back set up on the tripod. Okay, and now we can go and start plugging things into the back of this unit. Now the rest of this is relatively straightforward as far as where the plugs go, because virtually none of them are interchangeable. Okay, so we have our left and right, front left, front right. We're going to look at this and it's easy. On the back here, it's got AVN front, rear, left and right, up and down. It's got your sub plugs over here. It's got your video in. And I believe that video in is where you plug in if you have, maybe that's the one where if you have a camera. Well, we'll find out, because I do have a backup camera and I do want to use it. So let's go ahead and get this plugged in. So front left, front right. We're going to go with the easiest ones by process of elimination. Rear left to rear right. Okay, now we are, let me just turn you guys down so it's a little easier for you to see. Okay, now we've got our large speaker plug that's going to go in this side. So that's in. Actually, I think this brown one might be the backup camera. Yeah, it says camera. So that one might be just a video source. If you have like a DVD player or like, I don't know, man, a PlayStation, something, you have remote, you can plug it in there. I remember someone a long time ago having a PlayStation. Okay, so our two USBs. So we have our MTSV in. We're going to put that in the MDI USB. Now this is going to get a little tricky as I start doing this because I'm going to run out of some room here. And perhaps it's better to get you guys over here. I am not good with recording in the car though, so bear with me, I only got one hand. Good enough. Okay, so let's get our Dynavin back up here. So we've got the head unit here, and as I mentioned, we're going to start putting plugs into different locations. So I have my USB. Here's the second USB. So this is the phone USB. That's easy. It goes on the right side on the top where it says phone. All right. What do we have left? We have a couple smaller plugs. This one right here. I don't believe this is in use, again, because it goes into the back of this. And quite frankly, I don't see anything that this could even plug into. Yeah, I don't. It's okay. We have our here's our sub. Sorry, not our sub. This is our audio in. We're going to put that over here on AV in. So the last two, red and white. Okay, so now we've got just about everything plugged in. There's one more. Let me see. Okay, we have our white sub and our black sub. I'm going to plug this black sub plug in here because it's a black one. And, you know, I'm just going to leave that white one out. And then we have two more smaller plugs here that I don't seem to see. Okay, here is this one is our black and green. Plug that in here. Now, one day I'll actually kind of, and you know what, I may do this. I may actually take a picture of this before I put it all away. And that'll give me the ability to actually dissect what do each and every one of these wires actually do as it relates to the overall purpose of the head unit. Yeah, I think all of these are like auxiliary functions for the backup camera. There's one more plug there that I am not seeing a plug for. Well, okay then. I thought there was a white plug. Okay, I don't see it, but virtually the last plug that we have to work with is our radio antenna. So they give you this nice little extension cord at least. You're going to plug it into this black one in the back here. So let's plug that in. And make sure you plug it all the way in. It's going to snap once. That way you'll know it's in. Now, I mentioned this to you guys before. This yellow plug, I believe, is for the Sirius, your satellite radio. And in this case, you don't have that. You can't use that satellite radio plug. You have to use that other one that I mentioned, that big heavy duty one. And you have to buy the aftermarket adapter for it. It's like SVX 3000 or something. That's what this guy is for. I don't need it. I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to leave it out and not do anything with it. Now, I'm going to stop you guys for just a quick second because I want to take a picture of these wires and at least get as much as I possibly can so that I can go back and remap, like, what do these adapters do. All right, so now I've taken all the pictures I want to take and I want to give this a test run. So everything has been plugged in at this point. The unit should be fully functional. Oh, the last thing, sorry, like I said, there's a lot of wires here. What I like to do is I like to take my, oh man, and this is, of course, it's underneath here and everything's gonna get messed up and you guys are gonna be all over. This is my microphone wire. Let's try that again. All right, this is the microphone wire for the car. It's pretty long. What I have seen people do is they stick it on over here. I don't really like that. Perhaps what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it on the steering wheel somewhere over here. But for now, what I do is I push it through the top here and I fish it into kind of the back of this. Oh, you know what you can do? You push your steering wheel down. My steering wheel is already down, so I still don't have a whole lot of space here. I think what I did was I went in the other way. No, I didn't. Yeah, I think I did. But what I'm trying to do is fish it through kind of near my instrument cluster. And that will allow me to kind of put it somewhere close to where I talk generally when I'm driving. Okay, good. So I got it. So here it comes through. What I might do, to be honest, is like I'm going to pull as much of this wire through as I can. They give you a lot of wire. So honestly, what I might actually do is fish this through the dash, up through the A-pillar, and across the ceiling up to where the speaker is in the car. I definitely think that there is enough slack in this to get it up inside there, and that would be really cool, right? It wouldn't even be, you wouldn't even see it, but that's for another day. I'm gonna wrap this up and just throw it on the floor for now because I know it's tucked through here. So now I'm gonna take this, lift it up. Ooh, one last thing to talk about. The camera, the backup camera. So the backup camera, this is an interesting one because you have an RCA plug for this. If you have, and I'm going to take it back around to the passenger side. So what I did on my car was I actually added an aftermarket backup camera. I did the aftermarket backup camera and I did it up into the mirror. So my mirror actually has the backup camera in there. Now, in order to do that though, I had to get one of these guys because the backup camera actually only accepts a line in and a line out. So I got this this cable here, which allows me to go from RCA to those wires. Now what I have for now is this guy, a splitter. Now, I don't advise this to a lot of people because I think it does degrade the camera quality, but for now, what I do is I plug in. I am running out of power. I am running out of battery, and so I need to plug in my phone. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to plug this in, and I like to have it split. So I'm going to plug this in here, because down the road I can change, down the road I could do something else, but for now, I get to have the best of both worlds. And I'm going to slide this plug up through here. Now this is a tight fit on mine because I didn't put enough slack in those blue and yellow wires, but I'm going to come back around here. I'm going to have to plug you guys in again so my video doesn't die. All right, so we're back in this side. I got you plugged in. My tripod apparently fell off. All right, guys, give me just 1 second. Let me get set up. Hold on. All right, now I'm going to get you guys set up on the tripod once again, and hopefully we can actually see the rest of this install. Okay, so we're going to go this way. Let's just get you off the tripod for now, and we'll work through this. So you saw I pushed my adapter, my camera plug through, although I'm not seeing it for some reason. Let's do a little climbing and see where the heck that went. And it was off in the wrong direction. So, all right. So now we've got our backup camera plug there. So, whew. All right. Let's get that plugged in. But first, let's get you guys back set up in such a way that you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, let's try to wrap this up nice and quick at this point. So, okay, so we'll get our backup camera plugged in, even if we got to move the Dynavin a little closer to do that. As I said, these wires are a little bit tight. So now our backup camera is plugged in. So everything on the Dynavin is plugged in at this point, with the exception of our Sirius, as I mentioned, because I'm not using that. So we're going to tuck that in, and haha, magic. I actually didn't set up the, I didn't actually turn the car off. I didn't unplug the battery. But now we have the Dynavin all set up. So let's see if it actually works. So let's go to radio. Okay. We know our radio definitely works. Okay, so I put that up and down because I don't want to get blacklisted. Let's see if our buttons work. So let's say doing volume up, volume down, that works. Now my forward and back don't work, but I believe that's something we're gonna figure out because it's actually in the settings. But my mute button, sorry, it's technically not a mute button, it's a source button. The same thing. I think I actually have to do some sort of settings with that to make that actually work. But anyway, that's set up there. You know, I have my key. Let's just give this a shot. Okay, so I know my HVAC is now on. If I turn that down, so you can see, again, the HVAC works off the CANbus, so we really didn't plug in much for the HVAC to work. But I can see that, oh, the heated seats are not going to work unless the car is running, but that's fine. I know my temperature now is going up and down, so that works. And if I go through my menu, yeah, I can scroll through, I can do everything at this point. So with that being said, guys, that's generally how you actually install the Dynavin. You're going to want to plug in your last two 10mm bolts here, or 7mm bolts in here to secure the unit, and you know, put your center console back together, and you're back kind of fully functional. So that's it, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.